In our previous video, we met Stable Sarah. She'll be the focus of our efforts. Now that we know the basics of who we are designing for, let's get a little bit more into detail. To do that, we have a few options. For example, we can send out an online survey to users who fit this archetype. We can interview archetypal users directly, or we can start with minimal information and build along the way. A word of advice, if you're designing for a native app, try checking out reviews from the App Store or Google Play. People can be brutally honest there, so don't take it too hard. You can always use that feedback to improve the experience. Back to Stable Sarah, though. We have this empathy map skeleton that needs to be filled in. Right now, our empathy map is just 4 blank quadrants. Let's write 4 words, 1 in each quadrant. Says, does, thinks, and feels, in order to give us a space to play. Write says in the top left quadrant and does in the bottom left. This side represents observed behavior. For the inferred behavior side, write thinks in the top right quadrant and feels in the bottom right quadrant. It's now time to fill our quadrants. Remember that this is a snapshot of our user. We want to be able to define what makes this archetype who they are. For the says quadrant, this is where you'd place exact quotes if you had conducted interviews. If you haven't, no problem. We can make a few assumptions if you have a base understanding of your user already. For the does quadrant, use this to explain what this person does with their daily lives. Does Stable Sarah have to stop midday to worry about picking the kids up from school? Or is she the one in the house who balances the family budget? For the thinks quadrant, consider this Stable Sarah's inner monologue. Treat this quadrant sort of like quotes, but maybe these are things she'd rather keep to herself instead of speaking them. Finally, we have the feels quadrant. Use emotive terms like happy because or frustrated with. There should be a prompting event that creates these emotional reactions. Something like excited about Imacon could be an example here. The key is to keep these responses short because this will be a time-boxed exercise. So put 10 minutes on the timer and begin writing. Try to fill each quadrant as best as you can. Likely you'll have one quadrant that isn't as full, and that's just fine. Once your 10 minutes are up, head on over to the next video.